Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the PrizePicks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
Mavs fans, welcome to another episode of Mavs Party. This is Kirk Henderson. It's about 11:15 on Friday, November 4th. Thanks so much for spending part of your night with me. Man, that was a really fun game. The Dallas Mavericks have now won three straight games, 3 straight home games. Tonight, they defeated the Toronto Raptors 111-110. The final score doesn't really tell the whole story. It was a really exciting game, a wildly, weirdly reffed game. The Mavericks got crushed on the rebounds. They turned the ball over a ton. And yet, I think every single one of us feels really good about that one. The Toronto Raptors are an outstanding team. They played basically the same size lineup that the Orlando Magic rolled out, only all of their players were good. And what felt like it might be a little bit of a quiet battle throughout the game, the Dallas Mavericks really blew the doors off the Raptors for 2 periods. Things got a little funky in the fourth because the referees like to call offensive fouls. But the Mavericks found their way, steadied the game a little bit, played one of the sloppiest final 3 minutes and escaped with a win. And, I'm not really too worried about anything, bad that I saw in that game. The Mavericks escaped with Maxi Kleber. Let's see here. It was Maxi Kleber, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Reggie Bullock shooting 4 of 19 with 7 turnovers between them. So if that's going to happen and you're getting solid contributions from a Josh Green who played 20 minutes, his box score stats once again are kind of like, what did he do for 20 minutes? But if you watch the game, he played really well, played solid defense, made the right kind of passes, really mixed it up in a game where the Mavericks, they get a little bit methodical, and his sort of frenetic energy was really positive in this one. Spencer Dinwiddie probably played what I feel like was his best game of the year to date. Also picked up a fun technical, which is probably going to be a story that I'm going to need to follow later, but haven't really paid too much attention to the post-game quotes. You know how these things go. I ended up writing the recap, did a podcast with Josh Bowe, then needed to get the dogs outside and get them put away so I could come record with you. Josh McSwag says 8 consecutive games. Yeah, he was a plus in his minutes. He got kind of hammered on his plus minus tonight just because of that stretch to start the fourth quarter, but so did the whole team. That was not really anybody's problem there other than, Tony Brothers wanting to give everybody a big fat negative. Let's see here. Okay, guys, so you know the drill. I invite you up here. You look for the green ring around your name so that you can talk. Make sure you're not muted. Somebody pointed out to me, it was actually Josh there in the chat, who said, we're hearing a lot of the same folks. He meant that in a complimentary way because he thinks a lot of you guys are talking and making really good points. But I do want to prioritize bringing new people up here. So if I do not recognize your name, I'm going to try to bump you to the front of the line. So please come and participate. This is supposed to be fun. and let's hang out for a few minutes. All right, coming up first is my man Jay Pry. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, Kirk. You said people that you weren't used to seeing, and then you brought me up, so that threw me off.
Well, I mean, I have 5 regulars in the thing, so but it's but you're the one I've heard from least, believe it or not.
Hey, cool. I'll take it. So I didn't get to catch a ton of the game. I was working on an assignment today, but I would tune in from time to time, and man, I freaking love Josh Green this season. Oh my gosh. Like he is becoming how would you put it? I don't want to compare him to Draymond Green because that's too early for that. But basically like the guy who doesn't put a whole lot of stats up, but every time he comes in, dude, he just kicks ass. I love him this year.
Well, they had him in the second unit. So JaVale McGee gets bumped to the bench. And in the second unit, starting the second quarter, it's Josh Green, Tim Hardaway, Spencer Dinwiddie, Christian Wood, and JaVale McGee. And I got like 3 or 4 direct messages. They're like, oh my God, why are we playing, why are we playing McGee and Wood together? And the length on the floor was ridiculous. Like Tim Hardaway cannot play a lick of defense, but he's at least big. 6'5" is because he's not he's a shooting guard, but he's a big guard.
Yeah.
And they got a couple of fast break plays, including one that led to like that really thunderous Josh Green dunk. And
which
it's
is
just
awesome.
which is just like it's like arms in the key. It was a smaller version of what Toronto was, Toronto like basically has patented at this point. But it was nice. Josh Bowe and I just got done talking about this. Like there's kind of a call for Josh Green to start primarily because you're seeing both Bullock and Timmy struggle.
Mm-hmm.
I do understand the want for Timmy, like to replace like Green minutes with replace Timmy minutes with Green minutes. Bullock is going to come around. We have 10 years of data on this. So
I'm not worried about Bullock.
At the same time, what I really want, and this is sort of my desire for Josh Green, is for him to consistently get 20 minutes night in and night out to where when you need him to play 30 plus minutes, because you need Reggie Bullock to sit for a couple of games for personal reasons, or somebody sprains an ankle, like you start to get something out of these minutes where you build him up slowly and with a plan and not simply throwing him feet first into the fire. Because I also don't know, and this is the thing I want more people to come up here and tell me if you think I'm wrong about. I'm curious about Luka and Green together, because Green gets a lot of run out of running. And Luka does not run. Luka brings the ball up and runs the offense. And so it's like there's something with that second unit that when they're cooking, I really like watching.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just a bunch of guys who like to get out and run. And something that I personally haven't noticed, at least to the degree that I've seen it this season. I mean, I've always known that Josh Green was a good athlete. But dear God, he is a freak athlete, and I did not realize that. And the Mavs have been missing that for since Dennis Smith Jr. We haven't had a freak athlete on this team.
And I still don't know if we do. People are going to crush me for that one. But I will say that he has the explosive nature of some of his plays this year are really, really fun. That was the best Josh Green dunk I've ever seen. I could be wrong. Maybe someone will throw something at me. But that one was such a thunderous, like Russell Westbrookian type dunk. I really enjoyed it.
No, yeah, it was cool. And I mean, you can definitely tell that he played like he looks like a football player playing basketball, which makes sense because he played like Australian football or rugby or whatever they call it over there. But yeah, he's just been great this season. So I'll stop hogging the time and let you go to somebody new. But yeah, dude, I'm on a Josh Green high right now.
Good. Enjoy it. It's supposed to be fun. Thanks for hanging out. All right. Let's go to Sam. Hey, Sam, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, Kirk? You got me?
I do. What you thinking?
Oh, well, I mean, hey, 3 in a row. You know, y'all's going to take 3 in a row. Obviously, after that OKC, debacle, it's nice to get just 3 wins under your belt, especially against a good team. But I don't want to say I'm concerned, but it is kind of starting to get annoying, these fourth quarter leads that they are blowing. And they're having to hold on for dear life. So every game has been a clutch game except Memphis.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, The only thing I can hope is that it's giving us experience for later on down the season, so that we've been in so many close games we can say, okay, well, we know what to do. So,
well, and we sort of saw an example of what not to do again in the fourth quarter, where they played like prevent offense once again, and I just hate it. Now they got some good looks, and it's like had a couple of them gone down. Like Reginald will hit his shots at some point because he got another like really good look, and it's stuff like that I feel confident they'll sort out given enough playing time. But it's the offensive collapse to start the fourth, I felt tonight was much more due to the Raptors being good, the refs being overly involved. Those much more than I thought it was like the Mavs like collapsing.
And plus they didn't have Siakam on the floor, so just imagine if they had him in the fourth. So
but it was weird because Scotty Barnes had played like unmitigated ass the whole night, and then Pascal Siakam went out and he turned in, and Barnes all of a sudden just like morphed into a phenomenal basketball player. Like he was real, like he looked terrible up until the fourth quarter, and really helped keep them apace. It was, I don't know, I find myself like pleased that they won because they just got crushed in areas where you should lose the game. Like you get out rebounded by 13 and then you give up 20 turnovers, you should lose the game. And they did.
Yeah. The Toronto's, I love that Toronto team, by the way. I love Toronto. And they didn't have Fred VanVleet neither. So it's kind of like, hey, let them collapse somehow and then just give us OG. I'll take OG on my team any day of the week. So it's just, yeah. But I mean, it's a good win. I just want to just kind of want them to keep it up, just because I don't know if Luka can keep this up, but this dude he's amazing.
Go take a look at that schedule, and I think you'll feel better. I don't see who is stopping him on any of the teams they play until they play the Clippers, and even the Clippers, since they look so raggedy right now, there's just a lot. There's a lot I think you could be bullish about if you chose to be. I mean, he's I thought this was the game where Luka wouldn't score, and he put up 14. I don't know how many in the first quarter, but it was ridiculous.
Against those defenders, so that's
right.
At this point, they're going to keep playing the same coverage where it's like, okay, we'll let Luka get his, and we're not going to, leave Dorian Finney-Smith open or Reggie Bullock open, and he's still finding them for wide open passes or wide open shots. So I mean, it's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, the first time they like at the end of November, they play Boston, Toronto, Milwaukee, Golden State. That stretch is going to suck. But right now they play Brooklyn on Monday, who looked rejuvenated after Kyrie. Everyone knows, no reason to discuss it. Then they play Orlando, Washington, Portland, Clippers, Houston, Denver. Luka could have a bajillion points by then.
Hey, it wouldn't surprise me at this point. I just hope they don't wear him down because he's doing a lot. And hell, he's efficient. I mean, if it wasn't for his 3-point shooting, I mean, I don't know what he's shooting right now, but that man is amazing right now. He's my MVP at the moment.
Much better defense tonight too. There were some real funny, I don't know. If you're a Luka Doncic stan, you've picked a good player to be crazy about, but he's not above criticism. He is still kind of an ass defender sometimes. Tonight, I thought he played great defense at times. He had 3 steals and a block in the third quarter alone.
Yeah, and the other plays he made, they called fouls, which I didn't think were fouls.
So, yeah. The one where he got a tech, that was he picked the guy's pocket, and it was not a foul, and then he got called for a tech for arguing it.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do? But I'll get off and let other people get on. But hey, I'm liking the start right now. This is a chance to build up wins because I'd rather build up wins and play shitty now, and then later on in the season, who knows what could happen. So
that's right.
I'll take Mavs. Have a good one.
You too, buddy. All right, what's coming up next? If I could get the thing to respond to me, we're going to go with Tyler. Welcome back, Tyler. How you doing?
Hey, Kirk. Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Sure.
So I wanted to talk and ask about lineup, but that last comment just brought an idea that I've had. Do you think there's going to come a time where they pretty much tell Luka or try to get Luka not to guard on the perimeter and just guard off ball like a a nobody or a power forward or someone down low and try to help our perimeter defense at some point, like maybe down the line?
So I want to say James Harden's played on too many basketball teams for me to remember. But I want to say when he was with the Nets, when they were really cooking with gas, because people are going to forget this in the future, but that Nets team with him, and they had some games where they looked amazing. And I want to say one of the things that they did with Harden there is sort of plant him as like a single person zone at times, not necessarily like a free safety, but like he would guard like short corner to the 3-point line for one half of the floor and then help towards the middle if it was really, really needed. I don't think they ever do anything like that with Luka. Luka's too big. He's capable of playing good defense. That's the thing. There are just nights where when he's not locked in, or he's tired, or he's nursing an injury, or he's mad about something, where it becomes readily apparent. Like against who do we beat game before last? It was against Utah. The first quarter he was a matador in a bad way, and there's clips to show it where he just gets beat on single dribble moves, things like that. Tonight he was anticipating dribble moves well. He was taking body blows and absorbing contact. He was in the right place at the right time. He's capable of doing it. You know, Chris in the chat just notes that he's in better shape. He can still get in better shape still. Getting in amazing peak cardiovascular shape takes years of consistency. He'll get there, and he'll be stronger by the end of the season than he is when he started.
Yeah, agree with all that. I just think, I worry that because perimeter defense is so important, especially in the playoffs, that making a move may be worth considering. And I agree. I don't know if we'll ever do it either. Sure. But as far as rotations, I'm happier with what we're doing. Like, I'm happier that there's seems to be more fluidity, which I think there should be throughout the regular season. I kind of think that Powell and McGee should kind of be like based on form and matchup, be pretty fluid throughout the season, back and forth on minutes. And hopefully McGee can regain some form at some point. But I did have a question. I know there's been a lot of Green talk. And I know that it sounded like you got kind of frustrated with the Green into the starting lineup. And at first, like, I laughed it off too. But then I started thinking about it. And I think ideally next to Luka, with, again, his perimeter defense not being great, having a stronger perimeter defender rather than Dinwiddie would be better. I think you would like to have a good perimeter defender next to him, sort of like you have like in Atlanta and some other teams around the league where they have like a good ball handler and then a good defender right next to him. I was wondering if you thought it would be too crazy to think that at some point down the line, like playing like Green, like the 20, 21, 24 minutes a game, like you got 20 tonight, but at the 2 guard and have Dinwiddie come off the bench. Because I like Wood coming off the bench with the scoring that he brings, and I think that Dinwiddie, THJ, and Wood off the bench could be really nice, but it could be crazy. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not against them trying anything, because you're really looking for complementary pairings with Luka, because Luka's basically the start and the end of all this, to where if Luka's not playing well, it really doesn't matter, right? But I don't have a problem with it. I just don't know. Is the thing, because if you're starting him, it's kind of a shooter's thing too, where, okay, I understand he's shooting really well from 3 right now. He's also not taking that many looks. Like, if he misses his next 3 threes, does that change how we feel about him? I don't know. But if you're starting Josh Green, you're essentially playing Luka at that point with 2 non-shooters. And I don't know. I bet they try it at some point, particularly over the next 30 games. I wouldn't be shocked if they tried it.
And my thinking in that is that when we start off the game, like the offense is basically like all Luka, and Dinwiddie isn't really doing much to start off games for the most part. And I feel like he would just be better utilized coming off the bench. But yeah, that's really all I had. And thanks for having me on.
Sure. Hope you come back. Thanks for hanging out. All right, let's go to. I made Chris wait. Chris is always like the first person in the room. Hey, Chris.
I'm the quickest draw on the West on the.
That's right. You got the notifications turned on.
Yes, I do. Within like a matter of 3 seconds, I'm pressing that button, so that's all good. But right now, yes, I'm happy with this team. They are figuring it out.
Well, they've lost 3 games by 10 points total.
Yeah.
3 games by 10 points. Ooh.
That would have been a bad loss, though, if they would have caught up and won. That kind of makes it for, well, kind of. Like the Thunder. I mean, Thunder are unpredictable.
Well, it's a good point because like there's a lot of 50-50 games, and sometimes shit just doesn't go your way. Tonight it went the Mavericks' way.
That's what I was saying. Like last week, I mean, it's going to happen. Like those kind of games are going to happen. These kind of games are going to happen for us. So, but right now, I'm putting the lime in the coconut on Josh Green Island. I mean, I'm staying on Josh Green Island right now. I love this guy, and it feels good if you have him, even Dwight Powell on the floor at the same time. There's not 2 chickens with their head cut off running around this year. I just feel like that they're just providing energy. They're not really messing up that much. You're just playing his role, just play with energy. I mean, he only had 1 3 tonight, Josh Green, but I mean, I think the one and only one he took, and he made it. I mean,
the offense got sort of gunked up by the offensive foul, parade to start the fourth quarter. So there was really nothing to be done there because the Mavericks wasted I think they had 4 turnovers in the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, and none of those involved him. So, you know.
Yeah, and if anything, I mean, he provides energy, but if he just builds his stock up enough where we get something for him, if he's involved in a trade at some point in the future, that alone is good because he was drafted somewhat high. I think it was 18th overall pick in 2019.
Yeah,
God, I can't believe that was 3 years ago. But yeah, you got to develop him. I mean, I think he's figuring it out a little bit.
Well, I mean, all I've wanted, and I wrote this in the season preview for him, is he has to give Dallas something. Right now, he is giving them more than something.
Yes.
I don't know how to small sample size stuff where it's just he's it was really funny when he was leading the league in true shooting percentage because he'd hit a ton of threes. Yeah. 108% true shooting percentage. It's not I hope he gets more opportunity for 3. Right now, he's not done, in the last 4 games in particular, he's not done the randomly pass open and an open look thing. He's taken the shots given to him.
Yeah.
And that pleases me.
Okay. Sorry, guys. I think some of the dudes on this chat were having a problem with my Jamaican accent. I really haven't practiced that in a while. So.
Oh yeah, well, I weave in and out of reading the chat. Josh McSwag says he's a glue guy. Every team needs one. He's being a great 7th man. That's the correct read.
Yeah,
I think.
And with Dwight Powell starting, I mean, this is an obvious thing that they had to fix because with McGee coming in at first, it just things were stagnant and slow in the beginning. And I think what they're doing is good. Not that it matters, but Frank Ntilikina, is he? I haven't really Googled him to see what's going on with him, but is he actually injured, or is this more like?
I think he's pretty injured. I think.
Okay. So this is
he missed all the World Cup Euro Cup stuff. All with I think the same injury, an ankle effusion, whatever the hell that was. Now he played a couple of preseason games, but it makes me wonder if it's something that's not entirely stable. So.
One last question. I don't think we have enough assets for it, but I mean, obviously this would be like a badass thing if it happened, but with Kevin Durant, the whole Kyrie thing, all this drama going on, obviously he don't want to be there. He's already requested to be out this summer. Would the Mavs right now have any kind of assets to, offer the Nets? I mean, I know we still owe the
no, but if you go read Dallas basketball, friend of the chat, friend of the program, Dalton Trigg, everyone's favorite dreamer. I ginned him up. I just was teasing him one morning. I said, "You really need to write a Kevin Durant trade column." It's I love Kevin Durant, the basketball player. I know he really pisses a lot of people off just because he's kind of a weird mercurial guy, but I love him as a player. And he went out and put together a really hilarious 3-team trade involving the Lakers that actually, like, the math and everything works. And I don't think it's entirely unfair, but it's like one of those will never happen in a million years type trades.
Mm.
So,
Well, that's unfortunate. We just need that extra playmaker and come playoff time, because we all know they're going to go after Luka and other guys. They're just going to have to step up. I mean, it was a great ride the last time, but the whole Golden State thing, we just ran into a brick wall there. But anyway, yeah, good win, and hopefully we'll get another win on Monday coming up against the Nets.
Talk soon. Yes. All right, let's go with hi, Rain. Welcome. We have a Christian Wood avatar, first one of the year. Rain, hit the unmute button and then get your, I hope, outstanding Christian Wood takeoff, because we need a good one in here. We've not talked about Christian Wood yet. Let's see if give him a second to.
Hello.
There we go. How you doing?
Not bad. Just got a few takes. I know we just had a win, but I do have some frustrations with this win. We are not utilizing either Christian Wood or Josh Green nearly enough. I just wish we would start a game and utilize Christian Wood with spam pick and rolls the way that we do with Luka and Dwight Powell. I think the efficiency would just be off the charts. And I know that they haven't built up their chemistry yet, but they can't be expected to do so if they just never give it a try.
The lack of Wood Doncic pick and rolls is something that I've thought about a great deal, because if I was to have a complaint about future MVP Luka Doncic's season, it's that I think right now he's using almost all screens as a means to isolate a mismatch, not as a way to screen and roll, screen and flare, it's any sort of screen and roll option, because he's thrown a couple of lobs, but he's really just using it to figure out who he wants to pick on. And we saw this in the first two games where Luka and Wood had some really outstanding chemistry. And, I think, Luka talked about it last game. I want to say he sort of mentioned that it's really on him to get Wood more involved in these sorts of things. And maybe the Raptors are probably not the best example because they just switch and have such incredible length. But I do hope it's something that we see more of in the future, because it's like when Wood is capable of putting up 25 and 10 on like 13 shots, like that sort of efficiency is what you dream for.
No, I totally agree. And any time he gets more than 6-7 shots a game, he's easily going to average over 20 points. And we continuously have these fourth quarters where the offense gets stagnant, and Ted goes with these defensive quotation marks, defensive lineups, where we lose leads. Where at the end of the game, end of the day, the game's about putting the ball in the basket. And if having Wood on the floor gives you a better chance of putting the ball in the basket, we'll probably have more games where we keep and hold on to a lead. And going to Josh Green, as I said, I think he deserves more minutes. But to anyone who says he needs to start over Reggie, I don't know how this game goes if Reggie's not in those last minutes and playing the balls-to-the-walls defense that he was, with that block that he had and the steals that he had. I don't know, Josh Green had a great game, but I don't know if we can start him over Reggie. But I wouldn't mind seeing him replace the minutes where Tim's in over either Spencer or someone else.
Are just so killer, because if there's one person who I think is actually responsible for Wood not getting the ball in some of these like situations to start the fourth quarter where the Mavericks offense has been going cold, I want to say it's really Spencer and Tim dependent. Now, Tim finally made a really cool pass to Wood on the corner for a great, really important three. But I've seen, like we've talked about it in these before, where Hardaway just gets like tunnel vision and does not see Wood. It's really it's very frustrating. I think Spencer is a heck of a player. I think that we see these moments where he's not exactly the point guard you want to be running an offense, where he gets tunnel vision himself and starts forcing stuff. I mean, both of his offensive fouls to start the fourth quarter tonight were offensive fouls. I get why he's forcing the issue, but Wood was not utilized enough tonight. I mean, he played 23 minutes and had 8 shots. Like I would like to see more from him, just like you would.
So. Totally agree on that point. But going on to that, I think you were talking about last live how Tim Hardaway seems to have a lot more freedom to do whatever he wants, and he's dribbling the ball and attacking the basket way more often, when Christian Wood is a far better option for this, and those positions would be much better with the ball in Wood's hand, even if he's doing it all on his own and not having the ball fed to him, which would be more efficient. Another point I want to raise is, despite Dorian not having the threes, I really appreciate the way he's making emphasis of driving to the basket when he's given the opportunity by the offense and making him respect his ability to drive to the basket a little bit more, even if it's not always successful. I think it's a much better option for him to do that and keep the defenses honest.
Sure. I mean, a functional Dorian Finney-Smith who is able to contribute even in small ways is so valuable. And he's going to come on. I think all these guys will come on. That's why, if you're still feeling like extremely optimistic about the Mavericks, I think they've given you enough, because they're 5-3. They're 3 games they've lost by a total of 10 points. And they've also had some really awful performances from some of their regulars. So thank you. You got anything else?
No, that's all. I just wish I had caught more of these. Being in New Zealand, it's kind of hard to make them with the time zones, but
cool.
Good to be on.
You're our first New Zealand caller. We've had a couple of Australians, but I appreciate you taking time out of your day to hang out with us.
No, thanks. Keep up the good work.
All right. Have a good day.
This is advertiser content brought to you by Frito-Lay.
Hello, I'm Chip Murphy, here to get you ready for the big tournament. Tonight we'll break down who will be cutting. Cut! What are you two doing?
Sorry, Chip. Prez here got his feathers ruffled when I told him Ruffles has 0 chance of winning the title.
And I was letting Dip know that she is not taking into account Ruffles' iconic ridges.
Guys, it's March. We have to start talking about the tournament.
We are. It is the 2023 Frito-Lay Snack It.
We're talking about big-time matchups between Cheetos, Smart Food, Lay's, Sun Chips, and more.
Just head to the Frito-Lay Snack Bracket and vote for your favorite chip, pretzel, or dip for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks.
This sounds great. Keep up the good work.
Just go to fritolaysnackit.sbnation.com. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends 4/3/2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for 1 bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnackit.sbnation.com.
Let's go with my man Rolo. How we doing, friend?
Hey, what's up, Kirk? How you doing, bud?
I'm good. Rolo's got that good green sweatshirt on. I've always liked that one. Green Mavs here. They're doing that. They're having like a party for their City Edition stuff next Friday or Saturday, and I need more Green Mavs gear in my life.
Hey, man. No, just real quick. It was a really good game tonight. Luka, of course, was unreal. I think a lot of people have already talked about Josh Green, so I won't beat that drum.
You can absolutely talk about Josh Green. This is a Josh Green positive space if we want it to be.
I was just really happy with that dunk, that runaway dunk. That was awesome. I want one of those one a game if we can get it. That would be pretty cool. But no, I mean, I hate to be the downer in the room, but are we ready to have the Maxey conversation? Because Maxey's, he's been playing okay defense, but it's just the offense that's killing us right now.
It's the defense too. If you actually get into it, I mean, I'm ready to have it insofar as I think it's important to acknowledge it while still giving him benefit of the doubt that he has time to turn it around. We've seen him go through much worse stretches, frankly. And the man just plays like he's in quicksand sometimes, where one mistake begets 2, becomes 5, becomes we want to send him into space. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, and I feel like tonight, especially with some of the offensive stuff, the turnovers. I feel like that was just kind of, I don't know, unnecessary. Maybe it was necessary, maybe unnecessary, but yeah, definitely. I think that he's very unsure of what he's going to be doing with the ball, which is something that's really odd because normally we just need him to catch and shoot.
For sure.
So that's the thing there. Reggie, I think, played better defense tonight, but yeah, his shooting has definitely been. But that's how he was last season, so I'm hoping he picks it up. And Dorian Finney-Smith, I mean, I love Dodo. He's just, trying to do whatever he can all over the court, man. But yeah, I mean, it was a hard-fought victory. I appreciate the Raptors. I think that, had Siakam not gone down with his groin injury, who knows how the game would have gone, Hopefully he gets better. But yeah, man,
they
thanks, Kirk.
Sure thing, buddy. They survived a couple of the Scotty Barnes knee thing looked bad. The Pascal Siakam groin thing looked bad. And Scotty Barnes ended up being fine. And Pascal Siakam was able to walk it off, but they just didn't put him back in, which is probably for the best. But, oh, man, I'm glad they ended up being okay. All right. Thanks so much for hanging out, Rollo. Coming up next, then, we have Mr. Dang. Sorry to make you wait, buddy. How you doing? Hit that mute button one more time. We're going to get cooking here.
Oh, Kurt, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer.
You're the third person who said that. It's fine. We won the game. You can be a downer.
It's just the game shouldn't be this close, I mean, it's just maddening. Okay, what's the biggest concept that kid just said, be a professional, and you'll earn your minutes? I think Woods earned his minutes. I think Green has earned his minutes.
Sure.
I think that Bullock, hey, it's okay to reduce his minutes 5-10 minutes. Split that amongst, Green and Wood, Hardaway's minutes, he needs to earn his minutes. It's just like McGee. McGee sat on the bench, but when he came in, he played a lot harder, I thought, because he had to realize that, hey, maybe I need to earn my minutes.
I'd agree with that. I thought McGee's 4 points made a difference in a 1 point game. And I thought, he's +6, and it might be the first time he's been plus the entire season. And it's nice. They'll figure some of this stuff out. I mean, I was talking to Josh Bowe about this in the postgame podcast. My natural inclination is to kick the shit out of them for waiting 8 games to even bench McGee. But the fact is, on game 8, they took the guy who they signed as the starter and told him he'd be coming off the bench. That is not an easy thing to do, period, on a personnel level. It's also not an easy thing to do for a coach who's stubborn as a mule. So I want to give him a little bit of credit for making the right call. Even if it feels like he's not making the right call quickly enough. That's hard for us to say here as we're armchair coaching. I hear what you're saying, though. It can get a little weird.
But, I understand what you're saying, but looking at it from the optics sense, I know it's tough to bench a starter, but at the same time, is it justified to play somebody over somebody else that's performing well?
Well, I mean, for example, Reggie played 25 minutes tonight, down from his 34. So there's an element of what you're talking about here where, Josh Green went up from 14 to 20 minutes. So I hear what you're saying.
It's trending at least.
Yeah, that's a good phraseology for it. Trending.
But it's just, I don't know, man. I mean, the games in the NBA are just so close, man. Or coaching moves, not calling a timeout when they were making their run in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Really? That was crazy.
Well, there were so many stoppages in play because of arguments and with the referees and things like that, to where I'm normally really rough on Kid on those sorts of things. I didn't really think about that tonight.
Well, what I would like to have seen was a timeout where we get Kid in the back in the low post, and get Luka more touches. That's what I would like to see. Reorganize everything, and I also like to see. You see it in the NBA a lot because of all the changes and stoppages, where you could switch offense for defense.
Yeah,
why not do that? I don't understand that.
I mean, he has a few times. He did because he kept subbing out Christian Wood offense for defense, but he would like sub out Tim Hardaway sub in Tim Hardaway as the defender. There's some weird shit happening in those first few games.
Weird shit. I'd rather get burned by Wood. At least he can grow.
For sure.
Hardaway is what you're going to get. That's all you're going to get.
Yep.
But anyways, I mean, I would love to have seen also Green in the game, late in defensive situations over Dinwiddie, but hey, whatever.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping by tonight.
I wanted them to get to the level where they need to be. They should only have lost one game.
I don't think they should have lost any games.
Damn, Kirk.
Oh, I mean, come on. They lost 2 games by 2 points, and they lost 1 game in overtime.
Just giving you a hard time, Kurt. I know. I want perfection, too, and I want it now.
That's right. Well, thanks, man.
Thanks a lot, Kurt. You're awesome, man. Thanks for putting these on. I know it's a lot of effort.
Oh, it's good. It's good. Like now when they start playing lots of back-to-backs, because we're getting these breaks between games where this is nice. And then there's just going to come like a reckless onslaught of games and I'm going to die. Now, you'll hear it in my voice when I'm cracking at that point. But for right now, this is great. All right. Thanks so much. Talk soon.
Thank
you. Okay. Krishna, what's up?
Kirk, how are you?
I'm good.
That's good. Obviously, Josh Green Island. Sugar gliders, stand up, glide. Great performance from him. Obviously, Dwight Powell starting was good. I thought you saw what we had seen when Dwight Powell was making his cameos. You saw way more energy, way more effort. And, yeah, they were down for a bit in the first quarter, but it felt different. Like, just the feeling was different.
You'll like this because you spend a fair amount of time on Twitter. Somebody messaged me essentially saying that the Mavericks like gaslit us into loving Dwight Powell. Like
yes, I saw that.
They signed JaVale McGee specifically to trick us into liking Dwight Powell. I love that take.
You know what? I don't even completely disagree with that. I think I've never personally been one to hate on Dwight Powell. Like, I understood his limitations. Like, his limitations were clear. Like, there was no hiding. Like, Dwight Powell is, you talk about how JaVale McGee is like a stat patter. Dwight Powell is like, if anything, he's the exact opposite. He'll get some points. He'll have some effort plays, but he's clearly limited by just not being super tall. And that's like, obviously that's not his fault. But what he does well. And I think it's tough to be like really harsh on the guy. But he played well, and most of the team played well. And the fourth quarter was weird. Like I think maybe I'm wrong, but after the challenge, they only had 2 timeouts left for like 10 minutes, which is why I wasn't so freaked out about not calling a timeout down the stretch. But yeah, they're definitely worrying. And Tim is very like, he's not even hit or miss. He's just very miss right now. And a lot of it is just, I think you talked about it on the pod or someone else did, where when Tim is creating offense, trying to make offense, like it just doesn't look good. But when someone is doing something else for him, he looks way better. Like that one possession where they kind of zipped the ball around and then Tim had it and it looked like he was going to go for a shot. And then he passed it back to Wood for a 3. I was like, okay, that was good. And I felt like there were a lot of good possessions where Luka obviously was on the floor, but everyone else was touching the ball. And I thought those were the possessions I was like, I wish we saw this a little bit more.
Well, what happened was it was third quarter, second half of the third quarter. That was when the Mavericks went back up by 15. They had gotten up by 19. Then the Raptors cut it down to 9. And they started doubling Luka, like soft doubles, like late doubles, and he was making the right pass. So that sort of stuff is going to be what happens depending on how the defense is covering Luka. And what we've seen through 8 games right now is the kitchen sink approach, where we've seen them leaving. We've seen other teams leave their defender on an island to stop Luka. Hadn't worked. We've seen teams pack the paint when he comes in, and then he throws out the right pass because that's Luka Doncic. Tonight we saw a lot of junk defenses. Brian Damaris said this during the game where he said we're going to see a lot of junk defenses at Luka. And to the credit of the rest of the Mavericks, they really stepped up at the right time. And we're going to see stuff like this. I really think it's absurd to think that Luka's going to continue a 35-point pace, but I also don't see that. Like, I don't not see that happening at this point. Like, there's anything is on the table because he's an offense unto himself who also makes the right choice when the defense, gives him the option.
For sure. And I think what was different about this game, like, yes, Luka scored 35, but I feel like it was about like 35 at the right points.
Sure.
Like, he had that huge break in the second, and he didn't play a little bit in the fourth, which I think hurt the team in the fourth, but it felt good. Like, he didn't have to play the second, which I think was a positive, and he played a lot of the third, which I think helped them build that original lead. And, it's tough. Like, I want to see moves. Like, I was looking at it. Would you take Eric Gordon on this team? Would you take – because Eric Gordon has 2 years left on his deal, makes the same amount of money as Tim. I wouldn't be down. I wouldn't be opposed to giving 2 second-rounders and Tim for Eric Gordon now.
I mean, I understand why. I don't think they'll do anything.
I don't think they will, because I think Eric Gordon will probably go for more, just because I think Eric Gordon's a little bit – he'll be a competent player for any team he goes to.
Sure.
But it's tough to see where this team is, and I think what we're seeing now is Luka is always the very consistent guy.
Yes.
And it's just been sporadically a few other players have had good games. I think after Luka, oddly enough, I would say the 2 most consistent players are Josh Green and Dwight Powell, which if you told most fans.
I think that's right. Followed probably by like Wood, and then there's like a drop-off.
Exactly. And I think maybe Dinwiddie. And I think it's tough because like everyone is trying to, like, I think we had this expectation, and even I did, that everyone would just roll into the season and know their roles. But even adding a guy like Christian Wood and, obviously McGee to a lesser extent at this point, everyone's roles and their duties have changed in some capacity. And yeah, I agree. Like, I want Josh Green to get more, but cranking Josh Green up to 30 minutes, like, it's just not going to work because it's not like a pure math equation where you just crank up the minutes and the efficiency.
A long time ago, Josh Bowe and I made together, we don't necessarily always agree on stuff, made the declaration that we didn't think Jalen Brunson would be able to put up more. Like, we didn't think his minutes were scalable. And this is before last year. We're talking year 3 with him.
Mm-hmm.
That was wrong. Obviously.
Yeah. I mean, they made a huge comeback.
I don't know what scalable minutes mean for Josh Green because the chat reasonably pointed out he's not necessarily getting shots to shoot the ball more. Like, it's not he's passing up a ton of shots.
Yes.
So what does that mean? So if you scale up his minutes to 25, 26 a game from like 14, 15, how many shots are we getting in that time? Because he has to have shots. Like, this was my beef with Reggie Bullock for a significant portion of last year, is he's playing 40 minutes and getting 40 shots or 4 shots. Like, what are you doing? It's not a cardio game.
Yeah, it's and that's what I think has to be kind of like put into context. Like, just because you scale Josh's minutes, it doesn't necessarily mean he gets like more shots or anything. And it also you have to factor in, like, if you give him minutes, who are you taking minutes away from? Ideally, for me, what you see over the progression is you see guys like Reggie and Dorian and Maxey just become more comfortable. And you see someone like Tim, his minutes start going down and Josh's go up. And that's what you hope happens. That's like, I think what I hope would happen. But you have to see. And I think we're seeing that trend slowly change. And I get it. It's so frustrating. Like, I really wish instantly it would happen. But I think there's some positive signs, which I think is good. And there's some very worrying signs. And I don't know how much of the worrying signs are going to be continuous or how much it is like game by game, because obviously in the NBA, no team is going to play the same way or the same style. Like, the Raptors are so unique as a team.
Yep.
They have length, but they don't necessarily have like a dominating center. And they don't.
And Siakam, you go check out Siakam's numbers. Good.
Siakam and LeBron and Giannis and Luka are like the only guys averaging, I think, like 25, 5 and 5 in the league right now or something. Like Siakam is really good, and I think he goes underrated sometimes just because, it's Toronto and they always have a lot of really good players. But that's kind of Toronto's philosophy. Like if they don't have Fred VanVleet, they're always a really tall team.
Yep.
And that poses a different problem than, someone like the Jazz, where I think the Jazz have a more traditional structure where Conley, he's a pretty normal sized point guard, but then you go up to like Kelly Olynyk and Markkanen as your bigs. So I think part of it is the team is like trying to adjust to who they're playing in that moment, and they're facing different struggles, and it looks the same every time. And so I think the team themselves don't completely know what they're doing all the time.
Sure.
And so they don't know what they're doing, and they're coming against something different. Because like unlike a playoff series where you know who you're playing at some point, like you've played a game or two against them, it's not that. You're playing against a different team with a different system. And I think it's helped a little. They've had some breaks, but we'll see. Hopefully they start understanding what they need to do. And the rotations, I think, in the end, the rotations are going to sort themselves out. Like Reggie, like you've mentioned so many times, Reggie, like last season, was playing nothing. And then by the end, we were literally begging for someone to take Reggie and Dorian's minutes. So we'll see. I think positive win. I think it's good that you just eked out a win against a good Raptors team. And hopefully we see more from Monday. And hopefully, more people come on. I don't want to monopolize the time.
Oh, that's great. More people should come on. But
yeah, I know. Please, guys. I don't want to talk anymore. I'm done.
Thanks for hanging out, buddy.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
All right. Let's see here. Let's go to my man Gordon. How you doing, Gordon?
Hey, Kirk. I missed the game tonight. I went with Bally Sports Plus this season, and the stream was just completely dead tonight. So
I have heard it was a mess.
It was awful. It was very frustrating. Yeah, so just kind of looking at the box score here, and I assume that, Dwight Powell brought his typical energy, and I'm not one to jump on and criticize Dwight Powell, but again, just looking at the box score, how does a 6'10" high energy, guy who I don't think he's this incredibly strong guy or anything, but I mean, he's a fairly strong guy. He jumps out of the gym. How does he get 2 rebounds in 26 minutes? Like this it seems like a really typical thing from him. And like, I don't understand it. How does that happen night after night?
Honestly, he spends a fair amount of his time boxing out. He is actually he's not a good rebounder. No, there's no kidding going on there, but he spends a lot of his time boxing out so somebody else can go with the board. But the Raptors are a particularly bad matchup for him to get rebounds because all of them have longer wingspans than he does. Like he has a neutral wingspan, 6'11", height, 6'11" wingspan, which is rare for NBA guys. A lot of, you see some like a lot of great shooters have a negative wingspan, but most NBA players have a plus wingspan. It's like the Victor Wembanyama guy who's coming in who has like an 8-foot wingspan. It's like something preposterous. So and that just hurts Powell over time. It's really, and he's also, I don't necessarily think he has a very good instinct for going up and getting rebounds.
Yeah, that seems obvious. So just also wanted to quickly comment about, I feel like you had a really good take earlier on Luka's pick and roll and like sort of, selecting a pick and roll partner for him. There's obviously a lot of people that want to see Seawood more, in that role. And it's like in the regular season, it feels like at this point that Luka off a pick, he's going to get a mismatch. And when he gets into the paint, he's going to shoot, close to 70%. And at that point, like, it's like, it feels like whoever it is, like if you have somebody that you want to run the pick and roll with him and you want them to pop, like they've got to shoot, close to 50% before you want him kicking out. Right.
So what you're basically asking, or you're not asking, but you're sort of talking about the math involved with Luka. What's the most efficient shot? And it's incredibly frustrating, I think, for some folks that want to see some more offensive variety, But Luka is rightfully making the calculation that he is the best option. A Luka shot is more effective than just about anybody else on the team, even if it's a wide open three for somebody else because of the percentages he's shooting at right now. It's absurd. And I do think eventually, like, there's been a couple of, like, my guy Matthew Phillips wrote a really good article about Luka's posting up. And then Grant Afseth over at DallasBasketball.com wrote an article about Luka posting up, getting some great Jason Kidd quotes and kind of what they're going for. Luka's basically the best post player in the NBA right now.
Right.
With the shots that he's taking. And until defenses take that away, either by sending additional doubles or things like that, he's going to keep taking these shots. It's just too much of an offense.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's just like once you get into the playoffs, he's not going to be as efficient in the paint. And obviously, I'm not like we need to make sure that we get in top 4 first. And at this point, I do think that, you know, Dwight Powell, he's a better roller than Christian Wood. And so I feel like that your regular season ceiling means that Dwight Powell is just going to be the best pick and roll partner for Luka. But once you get into the playoffs and Luka's, you know, efficiency in the paint, like goes from, you know, what it is now down to, I mean, it's still going to be, his efficiency is still going to be insane in the playoffs, like obviously. But like, are we going to wish that we had maybe taken a step back and said, you know, it works with Dwight Powell in the regular season, but like, as we have seen in postseasons past, it does not work in the playoffs. And so maybe we need to take a step back and sort of, you know, develop something with somebody else that will work in the playoffs.
See, this is sort of an existential question because I think that the Christian Wood of it all will work itself out in the wash. He is a constant plus. He is extremely talented. I also don't think he's being that bad at defense. There are times where he's lost, but that's a repetition over time thing. So against some of these, let's just call them lesser teams, because, you know, in the NBA, anybody can win at any given night. I want to see him get 30 minutes against, you know, the Magic when they play them next week. I want to see some of this stuff. This minute cap that Kidd sort of has on him is clearly pissing him off. He's not talking about it, but he was pissed when he went to the bench tonight.
Yep.
And they need, like, this was already, you know, Josh Bowe and I have repeatedly said that we think this is going to be the year the Dallas Mavericks take their medicine and that they don't really have a lot of options. This is, you know, the McGee signing was kind of their one swing and it's so far a bust. But because of that, they're kind of just going to have to play with the cards that they were dealt, the team that they have. But when you have an MVP candidate, that stuff, like, he's just going to will them to a certain level of performance. And so I think that there's got to be what you're talking about in terms of a concerted effort to diversify.
Right.
When does that happen? I'm not sure. They played a lot of close games. Like, somehow I just went and looked at their point differential, because point differential over the course of a year is actually a much better indicator than team record of team quality. So the Mavericks are actually third in the West in terms of point differential right now at +6, even though they're seventh in the West by record. And so I'm going to be watching that the next several weeks. That's sort of the thing that one of the things I'm really most interested in about, because if the Mavericks kind of inch ahead, let's say they win, I don't know, 3 out of every 5 games. That's a 60% win pace. If they get to that level and it's around game 20 and we haven't seen much diversity in the offense, that's something I think that I'll have our site kind of start writing about, because you're right. You get to the playoffs and it's just a different ball game, and you don't want Luka to get ground into dust.
Yeah, I think one thing that we're going to, so I do think that I agree with you. Like, I do think that there needs to be some experimentation. I think that the landscape right now in the NBA is such that it's going to be very difficult to to find an opponent where you are comfortable experimenting, knowing that you can still win. It's like Houston, and there's maybe like 2 other teams, you know, in the league that you can feel confident on. You know, it's like, you know, we played the Magic the other night, and I'm thinking, did they even have a win at that point? Maybe one. And, you know, you look at their starting lineup and you're like, this is a solid team, you know, like we're going to have to play to beat these guys. Yep. And real quick, last thing. I know everyone wants to see, it seems like everyone wants to see Tim Hardaway's minutes limited, you know, at this point. to some degree. But I do think that they're kind of in a tough spot with him because you don't want to ruin his trade value, right? Like you have and that's a really tricky, it's got to be a really tricky thing for a team and a coach to balance, winning tonight while also making sure that you maintain trade value of the guys that you would, sort of not secretly like to, use as a trade piece.
Right.
It's going to be really interesting.
No, it is, because Tim Hardaway was I feel fairly confident. I don't know this. I feel confident in saying that the Tim Hardaway re-signing was not a Kid Nico decision. That was something that was probably worked out before they were even brought on board. So I don't necessarily think they're looking to trade him, but I do think they would be open to trading him.
Yep.
So.
All right, cool.
Thanks
Nice talking
so
to you, Kurt. Yep.
You too. Talk soon. All right. Last, we got my man Nav. How we doing tonight? Sorry to make you wait for so long.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
Sure.
So, this is the best I felt after a win, other than the Memphis game, where we blew them out by like 40-something.
Yep.
I felt like the most cohesion. It felt like we had a good start to the game. Powell starting. We weren't really down at any point in the game other than the first quarter. Luka had, good defense. Overall, everything was good. I guess to kind of piggyback off what Gordon was saying, I guess like thinking big picture, talking about Christian Wood, I guess it's kind of driving me crazy, and it's getting really annoying because I need someone to explain to me what the thought process is, because we gave up a first round pick for him, right? I know the end of the bench players or whatever. So you invested a first round pick for him. Everyone complains about how we don't have any first round picks to trade, right? So you invested a first round pick. The guy's in a contract year. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent, right? So he can just leave if he wants. You lost Jalen Brunson, right? And so there's only 3 guys on the roster that you can throw them the ball and they can create a shot for themselves or others, right? Luka, Dinwiddie, and Wood, right? I don't understand why the team doesn't seem to be making an investment in who I consider to be like their second best offensive player. And I feel like there's a disconnect between like maybe the GM, Nico and Kid, because I understand wanting to value defense and emphasizing defense, but I guess I just keep going back to like, I would look at the LaMelo Ball situation, right? Where there's no doubt that the Charlotte Hornets are invested in LaMelo Ball, but then how many times over the years has he not played in crunch time because his defense hasn't been there? I don't know why we don't use the same approach with Christian Wood. Start the guy, pay him over, play him over 30 minutes a game, pick and roll with Luka all day, and then the last 5, 6, 7 minutes of a game, if it's close, you don't want to play him, fine, don't play him. But at least, play him at the beginning.
It's really something. I get the feeling from listening to more connected Mavericks reporters, from talking to people off the record, I get the feeling that there's some machinations at play that none of us really entirely understand. And I hate that exists, but with a guy in a contract year, there's an element of balance between the Mavericks probably wanting to A, see how well he fits, B, see if he's the kind of person that they want on their team for the long term, and then C, playing him enough to where they win, but also not so much to where that they need him, to where that he is essentially holding the Mavericks over a barrel for a contract situation. That last part is going to drive all of us crazy because we don't care. It is not our money. It is not our fault that the Mavericks have bad books. It is the Mavericks' fault for somehow botching having a superstar on your roster and then ending up with bad books anyway before his rookie contract or rookie extension even kicks in. So, Jason says in the chat, the risk is that you go too far and risk losing him. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I don't know enough to really speak on it other than to acknowledge how weird it is.
Yeah, I guess I agree with Jason in the chat where you lost Brunson for
Right.
nothing, right? And it was like I'm looking at your website, right? 4 years, $91 million, right? That's with the new CBA and
Yeah, who
all
cares?
that's like nothing. Like, what are we talking about? Like, I don't understand why you don't give it. I thought we should have given him the contract before the season started, so this wouldn't even be an issue. And then you show the investment in him, play him a ton of minutes, and then if you don't, if you don't like him, try and trade him later, right? Like, he's going to be worth something if he's putting up good enough. It just drives me crazy, and I feel like me and like Squish41 on Twitter are like the two people yelling the loudest about it. And I just don't understand how many years did we spend complaining about getting a center next to Dirk, right? Next to Dirk, right?
Yep.
And it's like this seems to be a theme with the team, and it's like you keep getting guys. It's like you got Brunson, he left, fine. You made a great trade. I thought it was an unbelievable trade to get Christian Wood in here with what you gave up, and now you're not playing him. Like, what is happening?
I understand. Is what I'll say.
Okay, I appreciate it. I'm sorry. I just need to vent because
that's what this is for.
Yeah, it's just very frustrating. And I've heard I heard the same other people. Like, I listened to Locked On Mavs, and Isaac was talking about he had heard something about, I guess, like when they brought him in, they did not view him as that type of player. And it's like, okay, then why'd you bring him in here?
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's where I just feel like, well, obviously I'm missing something, or, and it's just frustrating just because, like, I think what Gordon said was right on. Like, in the playoffs, you can't just have Luka, win us, get us all the way to where we want to get to. Right?
Sure.
We have 3 guys on the team that can actually do something. So,
well, it makes you wonder if we'd feel this way if Brunson hadn't left. But it's like, how many little mistakes can you make? Like, Luka's the hard part. So, and again, I'm really happy about this win. I'm happy about where this team is going. But there are just elements when you pull back and you're like, what? Where it makes you kind of raise your eyebrow. Now, the flip side is it's game 8 heading into game 9. There's plenty of time for things to go right. I think that Wood played a nice game tonight. I just would have liked to have seen more of him. But a win is a win.
You're absolutely right. I'm obviously and clearly overreacting.
No, I don't necessarily think you are. It's just it's a thing that you want to look at and hope it doesn't matter in 10 games, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much.
Good. Appreciate it. You guys take care.
Talk soon. All right, guys. This will go up on the website tomorrow afternoon. We'll have some more posts. I don't know who's writing what. I'm going to die with how much stuff I'm working on these days, but hey, it's all for good fun. I guess we'll see you guys on Monday night after the Nets game, and I will talk with you soon. Everybody have a good weekend. This is nice. We never won on Friday night last year, ever. I remember it was like 6 times in a row we never won. I used to come in here being like, this gets my weekend started off shitty. All right, be good. Talk soon, team.